had a big mouth and said we're going to draw a bicycle. So the first place I would literally start, because I'm not a big bicycle enthusiast. I don't own one, so I can't go look in the garage, is go and Google, get an idea, do more research if it's something that I don't know, if it was a fancy Chinese lamp or something, and go and actually find out exactly how these things are built. See if you can find other plans, see if you can make them, if there's of them made out of other materials, and then start thinking about your design process for MDF or Perspex. So I just took the first best picture that popped up. I typed in bicycle diagrams, and this one looks like it's got everything that I know a bicycle to have, 2 wheels, a frame, pedals, and a handlebar pretty much. Just going to copy, I'm going to paste that straight into Corel. So without spending too much time on talking about what a bicycle looks like, while I'm scanning this image, I'm looking for circles and squares, triangles, and general shapes I want to identify. Obviously, the first thing we can see is we've got, oh, I made my circle cockeye. Wrong button. I was in Blender all day. That button. Right, so there's a circle there. There's a circle over here. You see, I'm not too worried about trying to get things perfect or trying to trace the image or anything like that, because I'm just using that one as a reference. The next thing I would do is I would draw myself this frame out. Let's draw the little other triangle that goes in here. I'll make it all thick now. So I'm going to just draw this draw the handlebar in. And for fun and games, I'm going to draw the brakes in. And I'm just going to do a funny little shape here at the seat. So you know what that all looks like. Oh, I missed my pedals. Let's put the pedal in. And I also missed the little gear here. I think that's the important parts of a bicycle. I don't think there's anything else much to it. For now, I'm just going to go and switch my reference image off. I'm not actually going to delete it because I may want to come back to it. And right now, I'm not even too phased about size. I see it's 190 mil long, so it's basically it's on a A4 to A5 size page, so it's not bad for a little trinket. So right now, what you have there, you've actually got gold, because I'm going to duplicate it with Control D. Just going to pull it across. Don't have my nudge factor set. I'm going to combine all these lines with Control and L. So now it's one line. I'm going to go to my contour tool. I'm going to go do an outside contour. I'm going to guess and say from the size that I saw, I think 3 mil might work good. I'll say, all right, 3 mil didn't look bad, but I want to round those edges. Ooh, that looks better. Okay, everything worked except it didn't do the inside of my wheels. So I'm going to just pull the wheel. I'm going to do a contour off to the inside. I'm going to break that contour apart. Select those two shapes. Oh no, man, what did I want to do? Take that one. Just break that apart as well. Do a back minus front there. I could have just duplicated the other one, but I'm going to do an inside contour, break the contour apart. And also there's 100 ways you could have done this. I said, sometimes when you're busy, it's quite weird. The long way is sometimes therapeutic. So right there, done. We can stop. I promised you we can make a laser cut bicycle in half an hour. That was about 4 minutes. And I've got something that I can make key rings from. I can fix a little seat up there. We can, with very little effort now, we can actually make this, maybe even put a little piece of Perspex or apply key on here and somebody's name. We can put little spokes in. And you've got keyring, coasters, trophies. anything else like that. Put little flowers. No, you can really go mad with it. That's how quick and easy you can get a bicycle. And I promise you, go Google, go AI, go do whatever you want. You won't see another bicycle like this in the entire world. It's physically not possible. It was designed by me, and it's especially for my clients. And that's the joy. You know, I don't know if you see how I start smiling when I start saying that, because I just created something that didn't exist before. And when I look at it, then I feel happy inside. All right. But now I can look at this thing and it's 2D, it's flat. And I know a bicycle has a frame down the middle, which is essentially going to be this part. Oops. That one. That one. Okay, that'll be my frame. Yes. So I'm going to repeat, I'm going to do exactly the same process that I followed with the 2D one, except now I'm going to do it with 3D in mind. Because the wheel comes in the center, it gets two pieces on the side, which joins back to the frame. In the front of your frame, where your steering wheel joins in, you've got to have a little circle where your steering wheel can come through, and it can, I don't want the steering wheel to be solid. I want the steering wheel to actually turn and work. We want a little working bicycle at minimum. So therefore, I have to decide which parts am I going to make separate so that I can duplicate them and do what I need. So the frame, there's one frame down the center. So we're good to go with this. I think I'm just going to draw something like, just going to sketch this in here real quick there. I'm going to add this to my to the back of my bicycle, because I know I'm going to need a place for my wheel to come on later. Okay, I've combined all of these. Have I? No. I'm going to combine them with Control L. You can also right click and you can say combine. Okay, they're all combined now, so you won't see it. You can combine there. I'm going to do exactly the same contour to the outside again. Let's see. Okay, so I did an offset of 3 mil, by the way, the contour, or the offset of the contour. So my bicycle frame is 6 mil thick. And even if it's made out of 3 mil in this size, I think it's going to be strong enough. It won't be strong enough to play with, but it will it'll be fine for a portrait or a trophy or whatever. Okay, let's take that away. So there we look like we got a frame. That we know there's the center where my bicycle's going to go. From experience, I know that if I'm making a shaft or something on a model, I always make my center holes no smaller than 10 millimeters. How do I remember that? I've actually got a document, I think it's a six-page document, call me a liar, with all my standards and line colors and everything else that I use, and I try and stick to my own rules as much as possible. It makes life easy. When I open different drawings, I know I would have put this thing X amount from the edges. I would only draw with a 15 mil or a 6 mil or there's a certain style, so you can fix yourself up when you've made a mistake in the future. Okay, so I'm gonna yeah, I'm gonna group this. Nah. Cancel. So see, nah, bad idea. Cancel that whole idea. Leave what I had there was good enough. What I'm gonna do. So see what happened there right now. As we were talking, I had a chance to reflect on what I was busy doing. In the moment Carlo was distracting me, and I realized that I was doing something rather stupid. Bicycle frame doesn't come out the back with the wheels forward. The bicycle comes out and then it goes small, and then you've got your wheel at the back. What comes at an angle, you know, it's not we're not building a tractor. We're building a bicycle. So I think I'm going to have too little meat there. So we're just going to do a contour on this 3 mil. It's one of the rules I have, that I never leave smaller than a 3 mil gap anywhere on my sides or onto anything. It just, it just becomes too finicky and might eventually break. So there I just cheated it and I just made it a bit fatter so that there's some strength in there. It's I'm not saying this is going to be elegant. It'll certainly be functional. All right, so over there, I've made was that a 10 mil, 9.5 mil. Yeah. So over there, I've made a 9.5 millimeter. I'm not seeing something. Just give me 1 second. Put this back on hairline rather. Yes, I think that's good, eh?
Not being an airline, it appears a bit thicker than what it is, or thinner than what it is. The opening.
So there's my little slot through the center of my bicycle. So for the sake of trying to do a bicycle in half an hour, let's say that we're going to have our wheels 50 mil apart. We can always adjust it a little bit later. I'm building a tricycle in my mind, guys. I'm going with it. Hey, shit, we're building a tricycle. Yeah, bicycle, tricycle. Just had an idea, so let's see what happens. It's not abandoned. It's not abandon the art, as Liana always says. Let's just go with it. Duplicate that one. I'm going to do the same on the opposite sides. All right, so that's going to go through the center. I just want to check something here. So I'm just drawing myself a little sketch line from the top, because this is where that part of the bicycle is going to go through. And I'm thinking I'm just for now going to put a little stopper on the one side, so at least it's got a little bit of stability. And that's going to drive me mad if I don't do it exactly. I like putting my object origin on center, get my thing to the exact size. I like always making it in working in intervals of 3 mil. So a 3 mil by 3 mil block would be my smallest. A 4 millimeter circle fits around a 4 mil by 3 mil by 3 mil block. So that's the smallest I will ever work with anything I'm trying to make functional. And that's in my standards, and it's not standards I read somewhere. It's what I figured out over the years of making things and then breaking and saying, how small can I go before it breaks and is still perfectly functional? So what I like to do over here, because my ridge is on center and I go +6, I know it's going to put me 3 on either side, and I just weld it. So now I've got the slot for my axle that can go through there. I'm going to go grab one of my wheels. I'm going to bring it down here. Because I made this thing, I'm going to show you the measurement. Why I went with this size. Okay, you can't say, okay, yeah, 9.5 mil, right? Here's the magic behind having standards, is I'm going to make a 10 mil by 10 mil circle. I'm going to stick it in the center of my, find it. Go center now, yes. In the center of my other circle. I trust it so much. Let's make another one quick. I trust my system so much that I know I'm not going to redo work if I do that. I'm just going to hairline it so that it's quite a bit thinner. We said that other little slot where my wheels are going to fit on is 3 mil thick, and I said it's 9.5 mil wide, correct?
Yes.
Look what happens if I put this in the center of my little circle and I zoom right in for you. It's perfect. That you see where it's touching on the screen, when the laser cuts, it cuts that 0.01 of a micron away. So I know that I can have a slight overlap in my designs, because no matter how good your laser is, it's then going to be a nice flush fit. And when you're making a little wheelie, you want your thing to have a nice flush fit, else the wheel is very lopsided. The other thing that I know about creating little wheels and stuff is that you must either keep the little center that you cut out as a hub, or you must make a little X so that you can keep it. If you actually wanted to ride and rotate so that the wheel doesn't do funny things, but I'm not going to do that now. We'll have a lopsided tricycle for what it's worth. So I've got we just color this in so that I can see what's solid and what's not. So there's my hole. I'm probably going to make this, let's go with 20 for a nice strong center hub. Gonna do a boundary quickly, do a contour to the inside. What do I guess? 10 outside, inside. No, that's a very thick tire. 5. That looks like a nice tire. Okay. Let me just gonna give it some lacquer thick spokes because we want this thing to have some lacquer tackies. It's an off-road tricycle. I'm going to give it, how many? 20. 360 divided by 20. Let the computer do the maths. I'm gonna do 19 of it. Boom. There's my spokes. Right. Now, I need to get rid of rubbish. Oops, that's not rubbish. A good one. It's the easiest way to get rid of rubbish there. Right. I actually want to keep those two. So I wish you could hear what's going on in my head and that I could remember to talk while I'm trying to remember to tell you what to do. Okay, break contour apart. This one needs to be a solid item of its own, so it looks like that. All of those together, if I colored them in, would look like that. If I weld everything, there it is. And I think I welded my center hub. Yeah, but because we know that I only work with 10 millimeter holes, I know I can just put a 10 millimeter hole back in quick without having to go and undo and remember what I did. So there we've got the center spokes for the wheel. Yeah, we've got the little tire on the one side, and we'll have a little tire on the other side. But let's be a little bit OCD now and say, okay, let's just make the tire proper. Just going to put a little square. I'm not going to measure. Normally, I would take them down to the center and I'd angle it and I'd do the circumference and I'd work out how many. And so I'm just gonna go on what usually works, and let's see. I've got 36 in mind. So let's see.
Man.
And let's see, 35. Just grab all of those. Grab all of those. Take that. Do that. There we've got a lacquer tire. We can stick on the one side and we can paste one on the other side. And if you really want to, you can do the same on your center wheel, but I think this is going to look lacquer. It's got a smooth thing down the middle, and then you've got some tire on the outside. Or if you did them all three, you can just rotate the middle one slightly off, and then it looks like you've got a hole there, and a hole over there. So there we've got tires. We've got a place to put it on. I haven't thought about how little spaces and stuff yet, so let's do that real quick. We know that my rule says that I use a 10 millimeter hole, which becomes very important now because I need to make little circles that can slot over there. So I'm just doing a copy paste because I don't feel like shifting it back. Because whenever I duplicated moves, I don't know how to duplicate on top of yourself. Maybe somebody could teach me someday. And then it's a little 3 mil slot in there. Stick this in the center of my circle. Put it off. And Here I'm going to have my end piece. It's quite big. The little ones to slide over there. I'm going to put, I know it's 9.5. Oh, what do you call that thing is on? Never know what do you call that? Aspect ratio. Oh, ratio.
Yeah.
Aspect ratio. I always forget what it is. So make this one 15. Work. Yeah, so that one can slide over when I need spaces in 3D. I'm not even going to calculate it now. I'm just going to take a chance and whatever works the best. I can always come back and alter the design afterwards. There we've got something that can go on the end. All right. A little seat. I like this seat. I'm just going to steal it right from there. And when we get into 3D, I'll cheat it for you guys. So I'm just going to stick it on there for now. My little seat. I've got my wheels. Got my little stoppers. Got this guy. That was a construction line. Okay, that's good. Now, all we need is the front of the bicycle. My bicycle is going to break because the frame, this would have been actually been the, what do you call that thing? The fork of the bicycle. And I don't want the fork to be part of the frame. Grab my polyline tool and I'm just going to cheat it very ugly. I love back minus front, by the way. It's lovely. It's some let's grab this. So I want a hole. What do I do? I want a hole. So I need to make sure that whatever I'm doing now, I can leave enough space that I can make a hole of 10 mil, put my fork through. So my brain froze for a minute. So I'm gonna do what I know will definitely work. Always come back and change it. So I'm going to grab this corner over here. I'm going to stick it on this line. I'm going to click on my shape for a second time. This rotation point, I'm going to move onto that rotation point over there. I'm going to grab anywhere on this line. I'm going to grab and I'm going to snap it onto the other line. And I don't have to go and measure the angle to move it. I can just move my little block. And now I can select any point on this thing and I can move this up and down. So I did go overboard on this. I was in the wrong D with my 20 by 20. I was in the ZD in my head, but I'm on the XY. Yeah, so let me fix that quick. Just want to convert that thing to curves. I'm going to grab both of those. Going to make this half the size, which would have been 10 mil then. It'll be nice and strong. Grab the end point of that. Put it the midpoint of this onto the midpoint of that. Let's just shift it across a little bit. Shift it down a bit. Right. Let's weld that up. Let's make a 9.5. Seeing a pattern here, Carlo? There's certain numbers with certain material, with every different material that's out there as a matter of interest. And on the MSDS or whatever the manufacturing settings, they'll actually tell you never make any part or any hole smaller than 1.5 times the thickness of your material. It's a lot of factories, a lot of industry. There's certain standards, and it's actually based on the strength of the materials and what the material is made of, on what it can handle. It's not actually about your machine. It's about the material, and what they call design criteria. Why they work them into design criteria is so that you don't have to go and re-engineer the materials. Just trust the engineers. Obviously we test them. I mean, obviously, I mean, come on, why do we have hobbies like this or tinker if we're not going to test it? But I go nothing less than thickness, not 1.5, because I saw now the engineers probably had a safety factor in there and da. So for myself, I'm going with that. But if I make it for my child, I go like 10 times the thickness.
I feel the same way. I'm not gonna, nobody's life is gonna depend on it. Nobody's gonna hang over a bridge on it. So I will also, my go-to is material thickness. But I must admit, if I work with 6 mil, I do go a little bit less if there's no um, strength required or anything. But on 3 mil, the minimum is basically 3 for me.
Thanks for chatting, Carla. You helped me figure out my problem.
I'll give you a chance
I
to tinker on it.
was not understanding, or I was not able to understand in the moment, and everybody with in my brain going, oh, everybody's looking at me, and it took my mind off it. So I'm doing this the very long way because I'm stressed now and I'm trying to think. I on purpose go and I start doing, what do you call these things? Nodes. I start doing node
Nodes.
editing,
Yeah.
and I start dragging them and stuff because I'm still working, so I'm not sitting doing nothing. It takes a little bit longer than the normal process, and while I'm doing this, I'm actually busy thinking and I'm getting somewhere in my process.
Well, I think, Billy, a lot of what we do when we get into this, even in the design purpose, you are prototyping because you don't always know exactly what the client wants. And more often than not, what the client wants is probably something you haven't done before with the technology that we have and the design. So for yourself, you have to prototype a little bit and try and test and try and figure out on paper what's going to work in with a physical material. And you're going to find a way that it works, and you're going to find a way that it doesn't work. And
Yeah.
the more you find ways that don't work, the more valuable it probably is, because then you won't make that mistake again. And when you do the next one, you're going to know, okay, I don't even have to try this because it's probably not going to work. And in that manner, you get more efficient.
Is there anybody on who's on today who's good in patents and intellectual property? Because I think this is going to be the weirdest tricycle steering mechanism made in the history of steering mechanisms. Okay, bring those two to the front. Come on, mouse, don't die on me now. Order. I don't know why I never learned the shortcuts of the bring to front. I use it so much. Okay, so that's going to slot on there. My steering wheel is going to go through there. Quickly can make a steering wheel. We know that I like to go 9.5 because I've got a 10 mil hole. Not, that thing's got a 10 mil hole. Take my show off. My wife's lying behind me, taking my attention off with dirty thoughts. Stop it. I need to concentrate.
When you say those things, Billy, you mustn't be working so that I can edit it out without it affecting the work.
No, you're just being naughty, not naughty, like. Yeah, well, she says she's dressed, so they are paused working, so not that naughty. What I'm doing here is a matter of interest. Making two stockies that are going to fit into each other like an X, so that I've got a nice strong thing going down to the bottom. Because when you have something that turns and it's just one layer of MDF, you just twist off at wherever your smallest point, or whether it's a 6 mil point or a 10 mil, it'll break at that smallest point always. To get my brain to function a bit, I'm going to rotate that this way. I am going to sketch on, like I did previously, just the color from the side view of where the other one's going to go. So this blue one over here, this one, is from the side or from the front. When it's twisted and they're connected, I'm going to see this one but I'm also going to see this piece. So if I want my wheel to come on here, which is a 10 mil circle, and I can go and steal any one of my circles, I can't put it there because it's going to interfere with my steering wheel. So I draw it in, and I have the other one on my, normally I have them perfectly aligned. And that's from technical drawing in school. They taught you can draw construction lines and things across. But it so if my wheel shaft comes through there, my wheel shaft is a piece of MDF, so it will be 9.5 because that's what I make my shafts. This so I've got a wet process going on here. I'm going backwards, forwards between my where the hole's going to be, where the piece of wood's going to be, to see where the perfect place must be. So it might be extremely weird to you. So my nudge factor should be on, okay, it's on 5. I'm going to nudge that one down 5. That looks good to me. I'm going to take this circle. I'm going to do a copy. Oh no, I can just use that circle. I'm not going to cut that out. So I'm going to make this circle size 15. Put my position on center. Let's make it 15. Nah, should have gone with my gut. I've been working with 20 all day. So I'm going to take this one and this one. I'm going to weld them. I'm going to delete that piece. And see, oh, no, if I put this in the laser cutter, it's going to cut that apart over there. Let me fix that real quick without using any fancy drawing tools. I just draw another block and weld it in. And if you're really OCD, you can go and clean up your nodes. I don't like leaving sharp corners on laser cut items. They also tend to break on laser cut in the corners if it's going to be something functional. Especially with perspex, I realized that if you make that sharp corner, it tends to want to crack there. So I always do at least a 1 mil radius. If you go smaller, I realize that if I on my laser, if I do a 0.5 mil radius and a straight corner, it cuts exactly the same. So your radius gets so small to a point where you're just wasting design time. So if there's anything smaller than 1, I don't even bother putting a radius because the laser has the same effect as what that visual, your eyes will pick it up on a design, but in reality that will be useless. Yeah.
Billy, can I stop you there quickly? We've just got a quick question on the nudge factor, how you set that. Can you just quickly show when you click on the canvas, your nudge factor comes on? And
okay. Right, so when you hit escape and you've got no commands active, up here on the top where I'm hovering my mouse, you'll see here there's a little button here called nudge distance. In here, you can set it to any amount you want. I think the default of Corel is 0.1. So when you push left and right on your keyboard, it only moves 0.1. So you wait forever if you want to move it. So we can actually set this to 200 as a test quick. You'd like to hit enter. You can then select your item. And if you use the arrows on your keyboard, you can shift it and you know it'll shift 200. So I can now copy this one and I can nudge it. I can go, I can work on it, do a change, and then say, okay, I wanted to match exactly what I was working with just now because I can't remember what the change would be on and see if it's going to work better. Put it back and go, oh, no, that's not going to work. It's just a very, very stupid example of using nudge factor. But yeah, you can actually use the arrows on your keyboard. I had mine set on 5 because I knew from the bicycle that I'm going to be designing, I'm going to be using 5 a lot. Most of the time I have it set on 3 or 6 because I work in intervals of 3. So this one, the gray one, goes on the side of the bicycle, comes through. This one is coming upright over here. So I'm going to do the world's fanciest handlebars so we can get this done before we're done with the session. I'm already too late. So let's go for some a little handlebars like that. So I'm going to copy, paste, flip it. swing it across. I always like to combine for safety. Let's make them 5 mil in total for the handlebars. I'm going to break that apart. Break onto a part. I'm going to weld it onto that handlebar there. I don't like this here. It's going to break very easily. Pull that across. Yeah, that looks like it might actually come together. I just need one more thing. And that would be okay. Surprise! You guys will see now why I'm giggling. It's just that an idea. It's a weird idea. Might be another patent. It's a 3, 6, 9, 12, 15. So I'm thinking in multiples of 3 because I want. Oh, don't do that to me. I want to put. Oh, how big's my wheel? It's got a tire, so it's 9 plus a space, so 12
Another
plus
space on
an
the other
end
side.
cap, 15. So I need 15 on either side. I don't feel like thinking much harder. So I'm just going to cheat this and go, okay, it's already 15. But, come on, come back. Take it away, stick it on there. I'm just lazy now. If I just did it the proper way, it would have been done long ago. Then I would have probably been. Come on, where's the one I want now? I want to come through the center. I'm going to have a spacer. I'm going to have a wheel. Okay, so just going to draw it out. I know that I'm coming from the side. I'm going to have a spacer. I've got my wheel of 9. But that's the center of the wheel. So because my brain's dying on me, I'm just gonna color them in, draw them out one by one. I'm going to push Control B for duplicate. I'm going to put it down here. And I say, okay, I got a spacer. Then I got the tire, which also needs a little spacer. Then I've got the center of my wheel, which acts as its own spacer. Then I've got the little tire, but the tire is up top, so I can actually put my little slot in here. Because now I'm lazy to repeat this process, and I'm not using constraint-based drawing here. If you don't know what that is, constraint-based drawing, you would set up this drawing and you'd say, whatever I'm doing on the one side, mirror it on the other side. And as you draw one thing, it draws on the other. Or as you're drawing on 10 different places, it duplicates whatever you're doing. So you make one change and your whole drawing's automatic. But that you get in the expensive software packages or more specialized packages. All right, so I just want to do another little cheat thing here that's going to help me in the 3D modeling process. I'm going to do a +6 again. All right, enough of Corel. We've run out of time. We've got what we've got, guys. We have to cut this bicycle at 6 o'clock. Let's get it into 3D because I don't have time to cut it twice. The client's coming at 6:15. So I'm going to stick it into 3D quickly, see if everything's working. I can make some changes, and then we can send it to the laser. I'm going to grab my rubbish over here. I'm just going to export it to the format that I need. I'm not even going to go to my drawing directory or anything. There's no time to be organized now. It's in a rush. And tomorrow when I look for it, it's going to take me 5 hours to look for it. So let's call it bicycle demo. You need to have a naming convention, by the way. That could be a topic one day, naming conventions.
Yeah. Everybody can relate to that situation you're discussing now. Gotta do it now. The client is either coming or sitting next to you waiting for it.
Yeah. So now we're back into the 3D software that I use. It's called Blender. I'm going to import my bicycle demo from my downloads folder. By the way, my downloads folder is my dumping ground. It's like if you ever had a folder on your computer, if its name was crap, mine would be called downloads. I don't know why. It's just got, oh, 50 off. Yeah, you can just don't look. There's so much cool stuff in there. If I'm ever bored, I just go scroll through there and I find some gems of years ago. Import. Let me just zoom to it. And this is not a demo of how to do this. It's just me showing you how it can be done. So there's my little bicycle parts. You can see that remember I had some of them drawn on top of each other. Let's take them apart quick so we can see all of them. I know this color is absolutely horrible. I'll change that for you guys quick. I'm going to make it as white make it green. Eh? Does that stand out? No.
Yes, that's a bit better.
How's that?
Well, that's even better.
Yeah, I think so. That's also one of the things they teach you, by the way, is if you're studying graphics design, especially, but even in drafting and stuff, they teach you with different colors, what the psychology and what works for eyes. And like Corel with a white background, you should actually not be drawing on a background as a matter of interest. You should be drawing on a black or a gray background. And there's a lot of reasons for it. Just want to put my origins in their place. I need to just convert this to meshes so that I can work with it. Now, because I know my shortcuts, don't worry what I'm doing, but I'm pushing some buttons. And voila, there I've got my laser cut wood pieces. Yeah. I'm going to take that guy. I'm going to say, geez, okay, that's my frame. I'm going to just get him up 90 degrees. I know that this thing, I had a plan with it. So I'm just setting my point, my anchor point of this piece of material that I'm working with. So now whenever I move this piece, it's going to act as though that thing is the snapping point and the anchor point of that, which is a concept in 3D modeling where it's very important what you choose. If I chose this, for example, how would I go and connect that to my bicycle? I chose that point because I know that it's going to be a coincident point over here. So then I can move it and snap it in place. This one was also an easy one, so I think I can match the that one was already rotated. Let's see if am I going to be lucky and get it first time? I never, ever am. Okay, let's zoom to that one. I'm going to set my anchor point. I can remember what I must do. It's about 9 buttons I have to push to do this. I've actually written a little script, but I didn't want to use that. It's a little bit of cheating. Let's just move that into more or less where it's going to be. This is going 90 degrees up. So one thing you will learn when you are starting to work in 3D, you will know where your Ds are, and you will know them so well that you will get lost in your Ds because sometimes you rotate one thing with another tool and you use a different tool. It doesn't take into account that tool already rotated it. So your stuff can get lost in space and time in some weird angle. And if you don't have experience to try and ever align that again, it's actually easier to just delete it and start afresh. When they say when you got something at an angle, at an angle, at an angle. So a roof beam running at 45 degrees up to the roof, but it's twisted at 23 degrees. And now you must get those things to join and work. So when you've got angles on angles, and there's more, yeah, you can get really complex really quick. And it's very, very difficult. And I think there's few people left on Earth who can draw that without 3D. That's why they developed 3D, was for those complex type things anyways. But I believe the skill gets lost for the actual drawing process. It's like Carlo and I were having a discussion in the week and saying there's a difference between being able to draw and being able to operate Corel as an example. We can watch YouTube videos and stuff, and we can learn to operate Corel and which buttons to make circles and whatever. But you're never truly going to learn to draw unless you actually go and rather follow a channel that teaches you how to draw, learn to do some technical illustrations and things, and then try and reproduce that in Corel. Or get a standard 7 textbook or a matric textbook or something of technical drawing, and then try and draw some of those shapes in Corel. And because they've got little squares with circles cut out, and it gets more complex and more complex. And yeah, just try and practice. What angle? Oh, 20 degrees. Okay, I cheated that one.
I was watching you because I wonder if you were going to remember or know the correct thing would have been to go to CorelDraw and see what the angle was and apply that angle in here. Or that's what I would have done.
Okay, the correct thing would to do, yes, that would have been the long way. The correct thing would to have done, I should have taken my add-on, placed my guy in his place. I'm just going to take the angle I juppoed, because I juppoed that angle. I can use my tool. I can hit R for rotate. I can say I want this plane to rotate around my Y, and I can just zoom in and rotate and say I want to align to, come on, I'm killing my computer. But yeah, then normally it would snap, but now it was probably going to give me a, but you understand, then you don't need to go back to that. There, it's snapping, come on. My computer's going, it's not liking something. So it was, what was
About
it, 20
20.
degrees? Minus 21, I think.
Yeah, minus 21.
Yeah, good enough.
Yeah.
Minus 21. Here's that guy. This guy I've already set. He needs to rotate up like a 9. Oops, got my wrong D again. That D there. Yeah, I'm working from like far out because I'm confident of it. I know where my snapping point is. I don't even have to go into it. See why I made that little thingy? Because I knew we're running out of time and I'm gonna sickle to align it. So I purposely didn't make big holes in it. And we said that was 21 degrees rotation. So let's quickly rotate this way, 21 degrees. Get to where just gonna put that as the center point of my rotation. So now when I rotate my screen, it's using that as my origin. I'm working down here, and I try to rotate. You see, it's difficult to now get that in the center, but if I make that my center of rotation, then I can work over there. The trick, if you ever start doing 3D, do that first. Figure out how to rotate and move around in the space. Never start drawing things. Okay, I'm going to use this one, and I'm going to eye it. Yeah, I think we're not doing too bad. I just want to move this to a collection quick. Collection. New collection. Steering wheel. Good now. Steering wheel, yeah. So I'm going to put this back because when I was messing around now, I took away what I needed. Let's select all of those. Just I need to make one of them active. Let me get to a top view. And I am just going to eye this thing now. Which way do I want to come? This way. I can't do that. I need to use my other tool. Sorry, guys. I was using a tool that affects one only and doesn't affect all. Yeah, so this looks about as good an eye as I'm going to eye it. Not bad. I know because I use the right tolerance and stuff, I don't have to worry about it being, it's going to be flimsy there. The bicycle is not going to stand like the neck's going to go like this. We should have put two of these ones, one there, and then it'll be like a strong, but we can come back for that edit another time. Now, because I've rotated the whole thing around an axis, look up here, the XY axis is always straight, but because I've rotated these objects with a separate tool on their own, the whole XY axis has rotated with it. So they are theoretically speaking, they're sitting at normal 0, 0, 0, but in 3D space, they're also now I can start manipulating where I want to move this up and down on that plane. So what they call them on that, on that plane. And it doesn't have to be an X, Y, or Z plane. It can be, I don't know how many.
You can have multiple planes on a.
Yeah. I mean, you can go 360 degrees in 360 different degrees. So yeah, there's quite a few. So what I wanted to do here is just go on my side view so that when I'm eyeing this, I want to get my wheels more or less level. So it seems to be about there. Okay. Famous last words. We're almost there, guys. Let's get this guy up. Let's get this guy up. Get this guy. What tool do I have active? I just got to make sure I know what am I going to do now? What am I going to do now? What am I going to do now? I messed this up. Yeah. I don't. There's a function I can say align location. I can just stick them right on top of each other, and it doesn't matter which one. I'm looking up at my axis, and I know if I go +3 on, oh, my units are not set. So it's going plus 0,003, because when you're working in millimeters, I should have fixed that. But if I fix it now, it's going to bugger everything. So just do that. Yeah. So I'm going to copy, paste. No, man, don't do that to me. Copy, paste. You really did that to me. Yeah, it's fine. Let's just do what I did just now. Let's align the location. Let's take that one, and we want to go -3 on the other plane. Now I've got my little tires over here. I'm somewhere because I'm somewhere just gonna combine them into one object for the purposes, and go and stick it more or less. Oh, took something there with me. What did I combine with there? I combined something that shouldn't have been combined. So I actually have I'm not working on my official template that I work on every day, because it's got a whole lot of cheat things on that. If you opened up software, it wouldn't look like mine. So a little bit rusty without my cheat code. So there's one wheel. There's another wheel. I told you it's going to be a very funny bicycle. So I've got one wheel eyed for. One wheel is eyed for. Yeah. One wheel was going to be eyed for. Yeah. Just going to get these things into the centers real quick. It's not actually bad. I know that the material is 3 mil thick, so I can go -1.5 without stressing about anything too much. This one, where did it snap to? Also did pretty good. And do that. It's not looking bad. Let's get from the front. No, that's not the front. Am I at the front or the back now? The back. Oh, I was doing the back, so we might as well stay at the back. I'm not going to top. Okay. Back is good. I can bring the wheel in. Yeah, we just want to come in enough so that we can get our stopper on there. So let's just quickly. Oh, yeah, man. Okay, I breathed. We can get one on there. Take this guy and quickly rotate it 90 degrees, and just zoom to him, give him a spot to hold on to, call it love handles if you want. And we can put it in place. We can take that same one and we can quickly just duplicate it. We can stick it on there while I move this one out the way. Because I know this one needs to go onto there. So now there's other little spaces and stuff. See, I wanted to put them in between Carlos. So I wanted to put one spacer and then one spacer underneath for the space of the tire, and then some more spaces on the other side. But now with looking at the design, I might actually take the wheels a bit further apart. Maybe, and I won't use spaces. I'll actually design a little X that can go in there and some other things that can take a little basket. But you know, as a starting concept, you have to have something before you can build. You could, but I wanted those little circle ones for niceness. I mean, you could just slot them on. I've got 1,000 of those things lying around here when I'm prototyping. Then I make good use of them. There's one spot, and we know that Y. I can go. There's my plus. It's pretty cool. The solid XYZ here where my mouse is positive, and the circles that have the white thingy in are negative. So I keep eyeing that, and then I know if I must plus or minus on the X, the Y, or the Z when I'm trying to move something instead of moving it. And when I'm not sure, then I grab the little tool you guys have seen me use if I wanna eye it. Yeah, I know we've run out of time. So, those of you who want to stick around and see me finish this up in the next 5-10 minutes are welcome to stay. We don't want to take up all your time. I won't feel bad if you abandon me now. It's fine.
Billy, this is the interesting part. This is the part we never get to see. And I'm sure you're going to inspire some more people to give this a shot. And
so, yeah, it's I don't want to say anything earlier, but you've actually got no idea how close I came to giving up and just saying, look, guys, I can't make it today type thing. It was, and the only thing that kept me going was like, I said to myself, well, you said you're going to do it, and if you do it, you're going to have had a hell of a victory. Whether you do a good job or you do a crap job is not the point, but if you just get this done,
just do it.
It's a win. So that's the only reason I'm here, is because with the day I've had, I need at least one little victory. And there's no bigger victory than doing something that you said you're going to do when the circumstances tell you that you should not have had time and you should not have been able to do it. Because yeah, I shouldn't have been sitting here doing this with you guys. It just actually wasn't possible. But anything's possible. Right. I don't know. Seat. I lied. You can almost call it 90 degrees. What's my seat? There's the seat, but that doesn't look like a seat. So let's do some black logic real quick. Let's change to faces view. Let's go to the front. We don't want our bums to get sore. So let's extrude the seat by another 10, because it would have only been 3. Let's take out. Let's go have a look what so that's still a pretty narrow seat. So it's probably for those Tour de France guys, not for African peeps.
Not for us comfy Sunday riders.
Yeah, it's man, I'm not happy with the seat. Am I? Oh, let's do something funky with the seat. I feel like, oh, why not? Let's go Control-C-B. And I just had an idea. What am I going to do? I'm going to rotate this. No, wrong one. I always get the wrong D. I was saying to Tanya today, the day that I get the right D, I'm going to celebrate. Okay. I'm going to take this one. Check this out. I'm going to choose 15 degrees, right? I'm going to take another one. I'm going to copy it. I'm going to rotate it minus 15 degrees. Okay. I'm going to grab this one and move it. I don't know how much is that? 10. Okay, I'm going to move it 10 mil across. No, 10 mil is too much. Let's go 9. Oh, no, didn't like that. Undo. Grab it again from a different place. Where's that? 7, 8. Let's go minus 8. Take this one, because I know what I did on the one side, I can automatically do on the other side. I'm going to grab both of these. Give myself something to hold onto. Oh no, I'm going in a total cockeye direction now. So I just need to. Oh, what do I want to do? What do I want to do? I need something dumb. I need. I just need. So I just got. Don't worry, there's method to my madness. I'm not going to explain it. Don't have time for explanation. Okay, this is the very ugliest thing, but I've got a concept and I can develop this afterwards. I can take this and I can draw it out properly in Corel. But what I'm going to do here, I'm going to push Control Shift B. I'm going to say, give me a union of that shape. And it kind of looks like a bicycle seat that I made out of MDF, but now I can, like I say, hey, I might even use this and try and get it to have this angle in this way and be this there. So I can't just kind of flat one. So maybe I'll layer it or maybe, but it kind of looks nice on this tricycle. It looks like maybe that's the way I should make the seat. Or maybe I should have the shape of bums in there and it looks like, like an old tractor seat. So that's why I got sidetracked, that rabbit hole, when I saw the seat and I saw the shape and I thought, hey, but if I flip this and I flip. So yes, it's very ugly, but it's a design concept I have now. So I can now go and sit and then start refining and working further. The same as we started with thing I switched off because I didn't want to delete it. I knew we would need it again. We started with, oh man, this new focus mode and the new Corel confuses me. We started with an idea. We saw a picture that they said they want a bicycle like this. They all ride those bicycles. We drew them out a keyring version. We started designing the bicycle. It looked very stupid over there. As I was going along, it developed into a tricycle because they changed their mind and they won the lotto and they bought a bunch of tricycles. And we decided we're going to have a new kind of steering wheel in the design process. And we ended up with a little guy like this. So if you want to have a quick quiz, I can do some real fancy little things real quick. Say link all the materials. Grab a make all sign. Let's put this back again. The little black wheels. I can say, okay, I want my seat to be black as well. So we can see the bicycle a little bit better, and maybe these things can make them someone make them out of cardboard. So that one, that one, that one, that one. And once you've drawn something in 3D, you never ever draw it again. So I've got all these little tabs and things. I've got them saved in a folder like a little inventory. And with most of your Corel things, little tabs and stuff you often use and boxes and stuff you often use, just save the stuff that you use all the time. Let's see if I don't put this on now. Now I can start saying, okay, it looks like wood, but something's wrong. It's not looking lacquer. Eh? So let's select all of it. Let's do a UV unwrap. What am I going to do? Some cube. So I'm going to do a cube projection. It was cardboard, eh? Yeah. So there we've got a one made out of cardboard texture. I don't know if you guys can see the textures at all, but let's put the frame and the rest of the thing. No, I mean, why not choose cardboard? Let's just choose. I don't know why they call this MDF. It's more veneer. Let's some veneer. Follow this quick. Link the materials. Link the materials. And if you get really good at this, which I am still busy learning, is this rendering and stuff. I actually need a computer that costs about 20,000 Rand more than the one I got at the moment. My computer physically cannot do the fancy things that you see on a lot of the YouTube channels and stuff. Because as I was sitting here doing this, my computer's screaming, and it's, well, 3, 4 years ago, it was a top of the range computer, and now it's just absolutely useless. So I'm going to delete that. Select all, tab, make every, what am I, would my tab work? Where am I? Select everything. What is going on? One has to be active. Okay, select everything there. Select all. And I'm just going to do another UV. This time I'm going to project from view bounds, because I want my whole bicycle to look like it was made from one piece of wood. Normally you could go and you could mix it up that it actually looks like different pieces of wood, but I'll show you the effect that it actually work. Yeah. So you see there's this one I didn't do this one. Link materials. There's 2 pieces that actually do go. Okay, here's a good place to see. So you see over here, because I said project from view, it projected the same texture over this piece and this piece. So it looks like it was cut from the same piece of wood, but in reality, it wouldn't actually be that. So in order to change that, you would select that one, and sorry, we could select that one, and we could wrap it like you would wrap a car with sticker or whatever. I can wrap the piece of wood, change my grain direction to something that's more realistic, because you normally cut with or against the grain. No psychopath it cuts on the wood with weird grain like this. Sorry, psychopaths, if you do, they mean to offend you. See, so over there now you can see what a nice render that is. And before you know it, let me just get this little view right. This is then what I would take and make a little advert, and you can actually color the spokes different colors and whatever, and that's how those guys make those nice thumbnails and pictures on their Etsy things. Most of them aren't actual products. It's rendered in 3D. And I just want to make a point for everybody out there that this was done pretty quick, and I'm sure there's guys who can do it much faster, and on a good day you should be able to do this in about half an hour, this quality of work. But then you're focused for half an hour. You're not doing anything else. But then people don't want to pay you for the time you now have to develop this. You want to put a basket on the front, a basket on the back, and it must be strong enough to handle 300 rands worth of soaps. So I took an hour to do this. So now it's going to take me probably another hour to make it stronger, to put the baskets, another hour for testing and that, and then probably another hour till you got a final product, if you're lucky. This process could probably carry on for 2 weeks. Every day you're spending an hour or 2 on it. And after 2 weeks or a month, you'll actually have a little product that's worth selling. You're not going to design it and get it done in a day. If that's your goal, put WhatsApp off, put everything off, sit down in the morning and don't get up until it's done. But other than that, 20 odd hours is a fair minimum for a brand new product to give it the attention that it needs.
Yeah, Billy, I think that if we look at what you do in Blender as opposed to Corel, you have so many more options of things that you can do, which means you got so many more things to learn and so many more things that you can do. So it just takes that much longer. And that's where it becomes important when you do this, that you know you should be able to estimate how long it is so that you can quote accordingly and know whether the client is going to want it or not before you waste your time on it. Other than that is if you want to invest the time and make something which you're going to sell, and if you do it correctly and you can sell quite a few of them, then you can invest the time, you'll get a good ROI on that. So yeah, there's so many
Way
options.
to check your time. The little video that I shared on the group where it shows my 90 minutes work in 90 seconds. I did that, but that was focus. That was sit down, work for half an hour, get up for 5 minutes, sit down, start the camera, half an hour, 3 sessions of half hour. So it was 100% focus. There wasn't a child, a wife, a bee, and nothing. I was all alone. And the reason I recorded it wasn't for a video. I recorded it as a time study for me to understand my costs and what I need in life better. If I'm doing this for a
Mm.
living, I need to understand what I'm doing, and what better way than seeing what's the absolute fastest I can ever do this. Because I tend to quote and give people estimates on my absolute best day. And unfortunately, we don't have the best days every day of our
Mm-hmm.
life. That's why they're called best days. So, something I'm trying to teach myself is not to be so hard on myself and keep myself up to that standard of 90 minutes, and rather say, you know what, guys, it's a 90 times three. So what's that? It's a 360, it's actually a 360-minute job if you're fair. If you had an employee and you gave them that 90 minutes work, they'd walk out the door after day three. And it's fair. If they don't do it in 300 minutes, then you know, okay, guy, you got a problem or you need training or something. But yeah,
But Billy, I must add to that as well, as entertaining as it was, and I mean it was when the time goes by so quick, then you know you are being entertained, and it's so nice to watch. But in the first 5 minutes, just making the keyring, I think most of us probably learned the majority of what we're gonna learn out of today. In that 5 minutes, the rest was really the enjoyment of seeing how it works, and that was probably that was so valuable because I'm sure that part, I don't think you get how
95% of
valuable
you
that
would have
is.
drawn that, would have drawn a circle, would have drawn a rectangle, would have drawn a rectangle, would have, and you could have just drawn lines. And as an example, it's
But that first part is so valuable, and that's really you need just the beginner skills of CorelDraw and apply that what you did there, and you can literally that's probably the most profitable because as you say, the more work you put into design, it's difficult to get the return on investment on that. But you can really spend 10-15 minutes on something, searching for the image, drawing it as you did, do the contour, and you have a product that you can sell, and you have a product that you can sell at a decent profit, and that is really valuable. Other than that, thanks. It was very entertaining, and I think it's also a good time, and we should have mentioned it at the beginning. Thank you to Anna Marie Procurement for you for sponsoring this and those lovely little units. Yes, like it.
got
Those
it here
things
on my screen if you guys want to see.
are so
We'll be
cool.
showing lekker dik sticker biltong. So we can't sell this one, Anna Marie. It's Tanya's now. It's full biltong fit. Sorry, Aina.
But yeah, thanks Anna Marie for getting involved and sponsoring the cause. We really appreciate that and encourage everybody to support procurement for you. Everybody knows Anna Marie and the type of service and products.